Hi everybody! Today we're back to part 2 of looking through my PDF folder. I had hoped to have all this contained in one video, but there did prove to be quite a few more pictures than I remember being in there, so I've split this into 2 parts to not bore you guys too much with such long videos. These pictures in this video should hopefully be the more recent colourings rather than the 2020 and the 2019 ones we've been looking at in the last part. This one is from 2023. This one is by Anastasia Ellie Cordoreva. And this is one I coloured when I had crystals as my theme for the month. So I really tried to emphasise the glassiness and shininess of the crystals in this picture. The dragon himself I tried to colour as a bronze dragon, the kind of slightly dull metallic colours there going on with the blue tips to his spines. And I think pretty much this one was all the Castle Art gold pencils, so all pencil work on this one. I didn't really want to go into a background so much because there was no background given for this picture, which is a free download from, I think, Anastasia Ellie Cordoreva's website. This one is free to download. But there was no background actually put down for him, so I just left the background white, and I concentrated all my colouring on the dragon and his crystals, or their crystals, should I say. And I was really pleased with how well the crystals did come out. Lots of gel pen to go around the outlines of the crystals there to try and give that kind of glassy effect. And I did try and make them look as if they were shining by adding the lightest areas kind of closest to the crystals here, with lots of highlights on these stones to try and show that the crystals are shining. And yeah, he was super fun to do. I do love dragons, and it was a really pretty dragon, that one, with all those spines going on and all those crystals. So that is the first one we're looking at today. That is by Anastasia Ellie Cordoreva. This next one is by Raven Phelan. This is from the book Dreams of Dragons and Dragonkin. Now, I do have the book, but this is from one of the pages where it has 4 little pictures on it. Like the page is split into 4 with 4 teeny tiny pictures, and I wanted to get a bit more detail than what I could have probably gotten on the teeny tiny picture. So I scanned this one in and I blew it up to A4 size so I could really get in and colour properly. And this is one of the few pictures I've done where I did actually look up some original art for this image and try and replicate that. Maybe not exactly, but to give my kind of version of it using the same colour palette and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure what I did use for this one. I think there is alcohol markers, there is pencil shading, there's a lot of glitter, white gel pen. I didn't have any acrylic markers, so there isn't any of that. But there could be some paint for a background. I'll bring him up. I was super happy with this one when it did turn out. There is lots of stick-on crystals. The white gel pen. Looks as if we have some gold gel pen for the earrings there. Silver gel pen as well, I can see. I think this is alcohol marker. But there is a lot of pencil shading. This background here could be paint over alcohol marker. I'm not entirely sure what that is, to be honest with you. It was a while ago. And there is quite a bit of glitter going on. I'm not sure if we can get any of that actually glittering, but yeah, there is quite a lot of glitter going on with that image there. I really did like the original art for this one when I did look it up online. There was a few different versions of it, I think, if I'm remembering right, and this is the one I really liked with the kind of fiery colours paired with that kind of cool grey and the black, and really happy with how it did work out. But yeah, that's not my colour scheme, that is me following the original artwork there for that one. Really happy with him, how he turned out. That one is by Raven Phelan. We have some more Jash Lee here. This one was for a contest online. I'm not sure if it was Jash Lee's Facebook group or another Facebook group, and we were given this image to colour. I tried to go for a really quite limited palette on this one, purple, pink and kind of cream colours. I really do love the flowers, how they've turned out. I did add in a little bit of light blue there as well for the flowers, I think. Gone around the outlines with the white gel pen. I really do love those kind of spider chrysanthemums flowers. I think that's what they're called, aren't they? Spider chrysanthemums. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I think that's what they're called. So yeah, I wanted those to look quite delicate. The background I made kind of grungy looking with the gouache paint background splattered with black to kind of contrast with the kind of softness and delicate kind of looking lady there, and the flowers and the more rougher grungy background. I thought that might work quite well. There was a pattern on her hair bow that I just painted over. I'm never really about colouring patterns, so yeah, I just painted over that. So I think I gave her a marker base. I'll just check. We have markers for the black, really, for everything that's black. I painted over with a marker and then went on top with the pencil shading. I was really happy with how the feathers came out. I do love colouring black feathers, and the skulls, yeah, I was super happy with those, and those were really good fun. I'll bring her up. Do we have any glitter? Yes, we have a little bit for her eyeshadow. We have a little bit of glitter going on. Yeah, here's some glittery eyeshadow. We have the purple and the cream, and then pink for her hair. So yeah, I think she's worked out really nicely with that colour scheme. I'm happy with her. She was really fun to colour. I do like Jashley's artwork, as you might have gathered by now. There's so many that I have actually coloured, but yeah, really happy with that one. These next few are by End of the West from Instagram. He actually got in touch with me and asked me to colour a few of his pictures for him. So yeah, I went ahead and I actually did that. And they're all country musicians, I think, most of them, and they were quite fun to colour. I did have to look up most of them online, I think, because I wasn't sure who they were, but I wanted to colour them true to who they actually were. I added in this background here with all the bricks, and I soon regretted it because they were, yeah, quite annoying to colour those kind of repetitive bricks in the background there. They look good, I will give it that, but yeah, they were a bit of a pain to colour. And the guy himself, I tried to make it look as if he was a kind of a stencil, kind of graffiti or street art onto a wall, kind of Banksy style. So I made my colours really graphic there for him and tried to make him stand out from the wall. I added in these strips here to again go with that spray paint sort of idea that I wanted to have going on with him. I think I used markers for, all I used markers for is the guitar. Oh, what do you know? So the rest is pencil, apparently. But yeah, I was quite pleased with the effect of that kind of graffiti look going on there. And I decided there and then not to do any more brick backgrounds. I will bring him up a little bit. And we can have a little bit of a look. Yeah, those bricks were a little bit of a pain to do. I could have done them a lot easier, I think, with maybe watercolour, like I did on the Kinoko Agusa picture, just with watercolour and giving a bit of texture that way, but I wanted to go in with pencil, I think, and that is what we've ended up with. I do like the two-tone letters, and I do like the kind of stencil graffiti effect on that one, and that one is by End of the West. We do have a couple more from him. We have this one here, Muddy Waters. This one I coloured after I actually looked up Muddy Waters online, and there were a few concert posters and stuff like that from, I think, back in 60s or 70s, something like that. And they were showing these kind of colours and shapes and stuff in the background. So I coloured this to be kind of a concert poster or something like that, taking the same colours and trying to go for a vintage look with this one, with the subdued colours. Again, I think we're mostly pencil on this one, except the background shape there. Oh, I did use the marker for his guitar and his trousers as well, apparently. These are all so long ago, I can't remember, to be honest. But yeah, I drew in this shape. Kind of a 60s or 70s looking shape in the background there, coloured it in the vintage colours, brought in my pencil shading on top of the marker, and yeah, I think it works quite well. I think End of the West was quite pleased with these, so I was pleased with the hair, to be honest. This kind of really tight curls going on here, I was pleased with how I made that actually look as if it was those tight curls going on. I think it looks really good. And the corduroy in his pants. I went for the corduroy look for his trousers, and yeah, all together with the limited palette there, just that splash of red with the guitar, and I think he works really well. And we have one more, I think. Now we have two more. This one here is Rose Maddox, another lady I had to actually look up online. I'm not big on country musicians, to be honest, but I looked up this lady online, and I think she did go for the colourful outfits, so I tried to go for some nice pastel colours here, which is not something I do usually use. I did love colouring this lady's hair with all the waves and curls going on there. I think that worked really well. There's a lot of marker basing on this one. For her hair, her shirt, and the background, this bottom bit of the background here. But if I'm remembering right, I did mess up her hat this kind of a cowboy hat she was wearing here. So I ended up collaging that in just with craft paper, pink craft paper. I collaged that in and covered up what I'd done. And these stars in the background, I popped in as well. I thought they reminded me of the Stars and Stripes kind of American flag, so I popped those in the background and tried to match the colour to my background there and the pastel theme. Yeah, really pleased with how she turned out. I used a bit of gold Sharpie for my name in the bottom there, the frame of the logo in the bottom. There is some pencil shading. The skin is all pencil shading on her hair, and then there's collage for her hat and the top bit of the background there with the stars. I think, oh yeah, I brought in some jewels for her earrings as well there. Yeah, I didn't realise that, but yeah, I've brought in some jewels for her earrings. And I think the whole thing with that colour palette, kind of pastel colour palette, again going for the vintage theme, I think, for that one. And that's worked quite well for Rose Maddox there. There we go. And this next guy, I'm not entirely sure who he actually is because I've actually covered up his name there with a bit of collage in the background. But yeah, we have this guy. If anyone does know who he is, drop his name in the comments and I'll write it on the back of the page so I do know. But this one, as I said, yeah, there's a lot of collage with this one. There is a lot of marker base as well for this guy, I think, for his suit and the guitar. His skin seems to be just pencils, I think. I can't tell you because, as I said, I have collaged this one, so nothing visible on the back. But let's just take it as being fully marker based. There is some chalk pastel here. I wanted this to be like a spotlight or something behind him, so that is gold card. I might put in some sort of shine going on with the yellow chalk pastel there, or try to put in some sort of shine from that spotlight with the chalk pastel. And then to go with the whole kind of sepia colour palette I was going for here, I stuck him onto some brown kind of pastel paper for using pastels onto this brown paper. I thought that went with my colour scheme really well. But yeah, I can't for the life of me remember who this guy actually is. I will bring him up a little bit closer. It is done very simply, so not too many details, but I will bring him up a little bit closer anyway. Apologies if you can hear the cat snoring in the background there. He's really sleepy on the sofa. But there we go, that is that guy. And those were all by End of the West from Instagram. I will try and link him down below if he is still running and has his colouring books up. But yeah, those are all ones from End of the West. Next we have one by Deborah Muller. That's this one here. I'm not sure if this was a freebie for a contest or something like that. I think it might have been a freebie for a contest on a Facebook group. And this was my first time colouring Deborah Muller. So that was quite exciting. Lots of detail on this one with the hair of the lady and all these tree roots here going on. I think there was a lot of marker basing on this one. Yeah, we can see there's lots of marker basing going on with this one. I've added in some stick-on crystals I can see there, but I think mainly the marker basing with the pencil shading. I can see there's some silver gel pen and there is some glitter on the wings of the hummingbird. We have silver gel pen to go around the wings of the dragonfly here, and the same green glitter for his body. The rest is markers with the pencil shading and a white gel pen for the highlights. I'll bring her up. There we go. Can we get the glitter glittering? Yay, we can a little bit on the bird and on the dragonfly. We have the stick-on crystals because there was little dots, I think, here that I wasn't entirely sure how to do, so I went with that. There's an attempt at lamplight, trying to make her hair kind of lighter here around the lamp. This was again a few years ago, so yeah. This is me first starting to figure out how to do the lamplight kind of idea, so yeah, the bunny's so cute. And that one is by Deborah Muller. That one was quite fun to do, a new artist to me at the time, so that's always really interesting. So there we go, there's that one. The next one is by Christine Karen. That's this lady here. And I coloured this one for a challenge on a Facebook group that I belong to, where the challenge was to use just the colours from a traffic light, red, amber and green, from a traffic light and use that as your colour palette. You were allowed to bring in skin tones, so that's what I did. I stuck with the skin tones and then red, orange and green. Even this this little swirl of cream here is mainly coloured with orange and a little bit of cream. This one I did use as a tutorial on the channel showing how I use collage. I have now got a few different ways to use collage under my belt, but this was quite an early one, I think. 23, so not that bad. And I showed you how I use collage for this top and for this tie around her neck there with two different techniques. One of them is where I trace out the shape that I want and transfer it onto the paper and then cut that out and stick it on top of the colouring page. And the other one for her top, I think, is where I cut out the shape of her top and then stuck the paper behind there. So there is a video showing how I did that. And you can see there that this lady has a marker base and she has a pencil shading. I do have a video showing how I coloured this skin. Pencils I used for those skin tones there on a different image. I tried to recreate this kind of skin tone we had going on there, and yeah, I was really happy with the way she's turned out. I do love those different colour streaks in her hair there, the green and the red, and yeah, really happy with that one. The background is chalk pastel here, and that is chalk pastel, two different shades, just scribbled down and then smoothed out with a tissue to give that kind of green in the background. I'll bring her up a little bit. We can see a few more details. I really enjoyed colouring her. Yeah, she was super fun. And as I said, we do have a tutorial for this part of the picture here up on the channel if anyone's interested. I think that one is called A Sweet Temptation. Yep, Sweet Temptation Grayscale, Christine Karen. I think that one might be a freebie that you can download from Christine Karen. So, yep, super fun. I do love Christine Karen. The next one we do have a zombie cat and a few bones going on here. So if anyone doesn't want to see this, then please look away. I'll try and remember to say when you can look back, but I don't have a great track record for that. But here we are. We have this one. And this one is from Alan Robert, The Ghosts of Christmas. This is a fairly recent one. And The Ghosts of Christmas is quite a small little, not much bigger than like A5 kind of colouring book, and I blew up this picture to A4 size so I could get in and do some proper detailed colouring there. I coloured this one when I first got my Castle Arts Gold pencils, and I was really happy with the way those pencils were working there. I do love the way the flames are looking there in the background with the glow around the stockings and onto our little zombie cat there. And once I'd coloured the picture, I made this background to mount it onto by using scrapbooking paper to make a kind of room scene there. I had some planks, some wooden planks looking at collage paper I used for the floor. We have just a strip of white for the skirting board at the bottom. And then I tried to distress this bit for the wallpaper here to look like a old haunted house, a really creepy gothic mansion kind of thing, by using plain paper and just ripping up the floral to stick on and then going over the top with a bit of chalk pastel to grunge it up a bit. And I remember being super, super happy with this one. I really loved that background with the wallpaper and all that stuff. I'll bring it up to have a bit of a look. This was the main reason I bought that Alan Robert book, because I loved this zombie cat picture. But I hadn't gotten around to actually colouring it, so I did colour it a few years ago and super happy with how it turned out. It was my favourite picture in the book, as I said, and I do like Alan Robert, but he's not for everybody, I will say that. So let's get rid of our little zombie cat, and anyone not looking can look back now. This next one is a PDF from, I think it was called a Thimsy Whimsy, I'm not entirely sure, and I think this was another PDF downloadable colouring book that I won in a contest back in the day that's just been set in my PDF file. It was either that or one that was given out free in 2020. And this one was a tutorial on the channel showing how I coloured the white flowers with pencil and then putting in the white gel pen outline. The rest of the picture is, I think we do have a marker base. Yep, for most of the rest of the picture there is marker based. For the wallpaper kind of behind our guy here, I went in with a stencil and some gold ink on a sponge to try and get that pattern there. And for these little bits of colour coming outside of the frame, I went in with a little bit of watercolour just to give some colour behind the flowers so that it is obvious there are flowers there. When you've gone around with the white gel pen and you have really pale colours, it's a bit hard to see on white paper, so I brought in a little bit of the brown and sort of ochre watercolour there. And yeah, again, pleased with how he turned out. I think I tried to keep the rest of the colours pretty dark so that the white flowers would show up quite well, and yeah, I think it has worked. Here's a video on the channel, that one, showing how I actually did those. I can't remember what pencils I used offhand now, but it will all be in the video if anyone is interested in that one. So there we go. There's that guy, his white flowers. He was quite fun to do. I think that was when I had men as my theme for the month, because men are not quite as common as women in colouring books, so it is quite exciting sometimes to find a picture of a man that you can colour in and do something a little bit different. But there's our guy there by Thimsy Whimsy, I'm pretty sure. The book is called Efflorescence, I think, if I'm remembering right, that one. But it's been a while. Okay, the next one we're moving on to is by Lana Green. I think this is a freebie on her Facebook group. And this one here, and this one I coloured online as a speed colour, as a nod back to when I first started my channel. My first few videos were speed colours, showing how I did stuff, and as a nod back to that, I coloured this lady as a speed colour. She is from Lana Green, as I said, a free download from her Facebook group for when she got 1,000 subscribers. So I did this as my speed colour for when I got 1,000 subscribers, and put this one out there, and gave her the purple hair to represent myself with 1,000 subscribers there. Yeah, that was a really fun one to do. I think she is markers again with pencil. Yeah, she does have a marker base with pencil shading on top. The background is chalk pastel. This blue in the background, if that's showing up, that is chalk pastel. And the confetti is all different colours of metallic watercolour. That I thought might work quite well for the confetti. Again, quite a limited palette. I didn't want to go too crazy with the colours, so I kept it to the pink and purple with the gold for the hair bow and the belt there. And the balloon was quite fun to do, trying to make that look like it was a helium balloon there. Yeah, and the glitter for the number 1,000. I can bring her up a little bit closer. Yeah, I really do love this one. I love the bright colours. She has managed to get a little bit bent there in my file somehow, but yeah, I still love this one. I love the way all the colours have worked out. It was super fun to do, and she was kind of a landmark of getting my 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel, which I have you guys all to thank for that. So thank you so much for subscribing and sticking with me. It's been quite a ride so far. Hopefully a lot more to come. And that is My Lady by Lana Green there. Really fun one. This lady was scanned in and printed out from a Dover Flower Fairies colouring book. I can't remember the artist offhand, but if I do remember it, I will pop it up on the screen for the colouring book. And this lady I printed out as a couple of tutorials. She has a couple of videos on the channel, this lady. One of them is showing how I use a white gel pen, all the different ways I use white gel pen. So this picture does have a lot of white gel pen on it, probably more than I would usually use on a picture, just to show my different methods of using it. And this one was also where I figured out this kind of bokeh effect with the alcohol marker blender, if I remember right. That was the first video I used that for, and I did a tutorial with this picture, if I'm remembering right. I'd have to go back and check. But yeah, I was quite happy with how she did turn out there. I think she has marker background. Yeah, she's pretty much all marker based there. There is some gold gel pen on her wings, of course the white gel pen for that bokeh background I've got going on around behind these poppies. And yeah, I think she turned out really pretty. Really worked well. But this is a really good book, Flower Fairies or Floral Fairies. It's a Dover colouring book. I would have put the name of the artist up on the screen. It was fairly cheap at the time as well, like £4 or £5 I think, which is quite cheap for a colouring book. It was a while ago, so things have probably gone up by now, but yeah. Sort of white gel pen sparkle. There's white gel pen going around the outside of these flowers. There's white gel pen highlights, my usual highlights. And yeah, I think she worked out quite pretty in the end, that one. It is a really lovely book, as I said, and that's the first page I coloured from it. I did get a printing error with the one I was sent, which is why I am copying out pictures from that book. Oh, and secondly, it is double-sided, so I can't use my alcohol markers in the actual book unless I lose a page on the other side. But I did come with a printing error where there were big creases down the middle of the pages, which would make it really hard to colour in the actual book. So for that book, I am actually printing them out and yet colouring them on my own paper, but that is California Poppy there. The next one is by Zan von Zed, and this one was a free download from the Colouring Heaven website before I actually bought any Zan von Zed books. And this one to start with was grayscale, but I took it into an art program and tried to make that grayscale a little less obvious because I was more into colouring my line art at the time and wasn't too confident with grayscale. So I dulled it down, turned up the exposure, dulled it down a little bit and printed it out. I gave her a bit of a marker base, you can see there, with my first cheap set of markers. I think those were the Touch Cool markers. And then I went on top with the pencil shading. I do love the colour scheme we've ended up with, the blue and the gold again with some red thrown in there, both for the ladybirds, and we all know that Toadstools are red with white spots, right? So yeah, they had to be red with white spots, and I popped in the red for the ladybirds. For the background, I brought in some watercolour, some blue watercolour, and my technique there of making quite watery paint and blowing out these kind of streaks with a straw, just blowing the paint across the page to get those streaks going on. I think I did splash a few bits on as well, we can see there. I kept that around Alice. I think this is Alice in Wonderland. I kept that blue around Alice, and then I put a splodge of blue behind our ladybird in the corner because he was looking a little bit odd up there on his own, so I gave him his little bit of sky to be flying in, and I was pretty happy with how this one turned out. I'll bring her up again for a little bit of a close-up. She is pencil shading on top of my marker base there. No glitter or embellishments or anything like that apart from the white gel pen. I did give her a few freckles because I made Alice a kind of a auburn kind of Alice colour. The green eyes and freckles. I think that works super well. I do love giving my ladies freckles and the beauty marks, and yeah, it is a favourite of mine, that one of my favourite pages. I do love how that one turned out, and that's by Zan von Zed, that one. This next one is one I printed out from Colouring Heaven, the Steampunk Animals special, I think this one. I can't remember the name of the artist. As usual, I will put it up on screen somewhere once I've looked that up. But this was a super fun one. I think I might have shown it back in my Colouring Heaven collection video as well with the actual original. But the original was, the lines were black and it was just a plain drawing on plain white paper. But what I did, I copied that onto some blue, a very thin card. Craft card from Easter, that one was, and I wanted to make it look like a blueprint, a well-used blueprint that somebody's folded and shoved in their pocket and gotten grimy fingerprints on and stuff like that. So after I'd copied it onto the paper, I went over all these lines with a white gel pen, and then I drew on a few creases. I added in these creases. The paper is not creased. The paper is not creased. You can see there, it's flat paper. But I drew in these creases. I coloured in this coffee ring here again, a little bit of fun. Made it look as if somebody's had their cup of coffee there in the corner. Splashed some coffee around. I kind of splashed on some black drawing ink to look maybe like oil. If somebody's been making this bunny rabbit and had it on the table, they've got an oil on the blueprint, and yeah, really pleased with how that one turned out. Maybe I went a little bit overboard with my creases and splashes, but yeah, it was super fun. And my other half was a bit of a good sport with this one. I had him put drawing ink on his fingers and then hold the blueprint like this, so we got the thumbprints on the edges there to look like somebody's actually been holding and making this bunny rabbit. Yep, no more details to show really. Might have a little bit of a look at how those creases were actually done, just with grey pencil really and a little bit of white along the edges, and it works quite well to look creased. Making sure this splash here was slightly offset where the crease was going through the middle, so it does look as if it is a bit creased up there. And yeah, it's super, super fun. I do love making things look old and worn and used and things like that. But yeah, and the rest of the picture is basically, it was a bit of a labour of love, but I copied the picture out of the magazine and I went over all the lines with a white gel pen. and he does live in my PDF folder, so I can't show you the original, but I think the original artwork was shown in my Colouring Heaven collection video. So yep, there is that one, and the artist would have been on the screen for that one. This one is a very recent one. This is from the Colouring Heaven Healing Crystals collection, and this one is by Mystic Art Mirrors. And this one was coloured for a tutorial on the Colouring Heaven YouTube channel, showing how I coloured these crystals here with the Ohuhu markers. The whole picture was mostly with the Ohuhu markers, except for the skin on her face there, where I did bring in a little bit of pencil shading because I'm not 100% confident with doing skin just with markers at the moment. I'm not confident with my blending or any stuff like that, so I did bring in the pencils for her skin. As I said, I'm not 100% confident with colouring skin with markers, so I did make a bit of a mistake here on the bridge of her nose with my blending, and that looked a bit awkward to me, so I drew in the lotus flower to go with that kind of crystal healing sort of theme of the book. I thought that would fit in quite well. I stuck on a little crystal there as well. Again, to go with the crystals theme, I thought a crystal might be quite nice, and I popped that in. The background, I've done a bit of a bokeh effect just by drawing circles with a colourless blender on top of the background colour, and that quite a soft, subtle bokeh effect there in the background I thought might work quite well. As I said, the rest is the Ohuhu markers, white gel pen. So I'll bring that up for a little bit of a close-up. And that tutorial is on the Colouring Heaven YouTube channel. That one showing how I did those crystals, which were super fun to do and really quick as well with the alcohol markers. Yeah, I do love my markers. There we go. That one is by Mystic Art Mirrors. We have some more Josh Lee now, and these were both also done for Colouring Heaven tutorials. We're starting with this one here. This is by Josh Lee from the Colouring Heaven Angels and Demons special. And for this one was for a tutorial on how I did the feathers. So yeah, you can see a tutorial on how I did those white angel feathers there. I think that was with Black Widow pencils, if I'm remembering rightly. I don't think there's any marker basing on this one. No, we have no marker basing on that one. That is just the Black Widow pencils for the most part. I think there might have been some gold Sharpie here for the edges of her sleeves and her belt. There's some glitter on her corset top I can see. And the background, I did do a base of chalk pastel before going over the top with the pencils, I think, if I'm remembering, for that one. So, yep, I can bring her up for a little bit of a close-up. I do love Josh Lee. This one was really quite fun to do. I really need to work some more in that Angels and Demons special. I think there's a couple of works in progress in that one. I really need to get back to that one. But that was a pretty cool tutorial. I tried to make the background quite dark around our angel because her dress is the white, so we wanted that to stand out really well from the background. So making sure the background is dark, that makes sure that the feathers and the dress and everything is standing out from the background. But that one is by Josh Lee. This next one, as I also said, this one is Josh Lee as well. This one is from Mythical Hybrid Special, I think it was called, by Josh Lee. And this one was a tutorial showing how I did the tiger skin kind of effect with 3 different colours, the kind of golden tiger, the orange tiger, and the white tiger here. And I think she worked out quite well. I only coloured this bit down the middle of the page because trees are not something I really love to colour, and I was struggling a little bit with this kind of tree trunk here in the foreground. I was struggling a little bit with that, so I decided to just colour the bit with the lady in the middle and just call it done at that. But I am pleased with how she ended up. I'm not sure what pencils I used for that one. It could have been Castle Arts. I'm not entirely sure, but she's, yeah, all with pencil. There is no marker base to that one. Again, a little bit crumpled at the corners. But let's have a little bit of a look. There we go. We have the orange and the black for the tiger stripes, the kind of whites and greys for the white tiger. And then when I was researching tiger patterns for this tutorial, I found that a golden tiger or a blonde tiger that is this kind of golden yellow colour with reddish brown dark stripes. So I tried to do each and every kind of type of tiger there and show how I did the fur. And my fur technique has improved a lot since the first PDF video where it looked a lot more like feathers. I think my fur technique has improved a lot since then. So there we go. That is the one from the Mythical Hybrid Special, and that one is another one by Jash Lee. This next one is by Lendl Art, and this one was from Colouring Heaven. I think it was the Bad Girls Halloween special, Colouring Heaven, and this one is the first few videos on my channel as a speed colour. I think it's in 3 different parts. I filmed pretty much all of this as a speed colour. My first ever YouTube videos, so yeah, a little bit of a landmark, this one. Got a little bit of a special place in the heart, this one, because it was my first few YouTube videos. Back in 22, was that? Yeah, 22. And I was really pleased with how she turned out. She is marker base. Yeah, she is marker base with the pencil shading. It's on the first few videos on the channel in speed colour format. I was pleased with how everything turned out. The background is coffee, just a light wash of the instant coffee because I couldn't figure out anything else or any other colours to be using there to make everything stand out. But I went with that to keep with the kind of the vintage colours. I think this one ended up with the vintage colours, and that background worked well with that at the time. So yeah, really pleased with how she did turn out. And for one of my first actual videos, yeah, looking back at those now, you can see there's hopefully been a little bit of an improvement since those very few videos, but yeah, she's still a little bit of a special one to me because she was the first one I actually filmed myself colouring that one. I did love that picture. I remember I practiced so hard before I actually filmed this one. I printed out the picture, 4 of them, 5 of them, like an inch square or something. I printed just so I could test out colour schemes, and I really practiced before I filmed. And yeah, I've moved on quite a bit since then, but yeah, that's me reminiscing now. But there we are with the picture that is by Lendl Art and Colouring Heaven. Bad Girls Halloween special, that one. The next one is also from a Colouring Heaven. I think this one was called Gothic Beauty Special. I'm not sure who the artist was. I think it was Alchemy Gothic, this one. You might have also seen this one when I was going through my Colouring Heaven collection and seen the original artwork. But what I wanted to do was to copy that one onto grey card and try and make it look as if the crystal was glowing. And I think it hasn't quite worked as well as I wanted it to because my pencils weren't as opaque as I really wanted them to be. It might be a little bit easier now with the Prismacolors to try and make that glow a little bit more obvious. But at the time, it was a bit of an experiment I had going on there. I wanted to work on this grey paper and I went for it. It's okay. It's not as good as I wanted it to be, but you can see there is a bit of that effect trying to come through there. And this is mainly with the Arteza and the Castle Arts pencils. That's all I used for that one, but unfortunately they're not the most opaque pencils, so the effect isn't as good as I would like that to be. But hopefully you can get an idea of the effect I was trying to go for there with the glowing crystal. Yeah, it was a fun one. A bit of a challenge. I will say that it was a bit of a challenge trying to colour on that grey paper and get that effect of the crystal glowing. But yeah, it was fun. I do love to experiment with my colourings, and I did learn a lot from it. So yep, there we are. I'm pretty sure that one is by Alchemy Gothic, but if the artist is a different person, I will have put that up on the screen. And there we go. There is that one. This next one is by Adele Lorien, and this is from her first Colouring Heaven issue. I think it was Woodland Fantasy or something like that. Her first issue of Colouring Heaven. And I did this one as a tutorial for how I coloured another picture of hers that was actually in an issue of Colouring Heaven. I downloaded this one, but it was basically along the same line, so I could show you how I coloured each part of the picture that I had done. And this one is done with Bic Kids pencils, which are a really cheap children's grade pencil. They're not the most opaque, but yeah, they work all right. You can work with them. That's what I used for this one, and some metallic watercolours. White gel pen and some stick-on crystals. There's also a stick-on butterfly there. My mum actually gave me that, and it matched in quite well with this picture, so I went with that. There's gold gel pen as well, I think, and some 3D paint. Oh yeah, that's Dovecraft 3D paint, a pearl paint that I've dotted on for a few beads as well. Yeah, really quite pleased how she turned out, considering it was a small set. It was a 12 set of children's pencils, so I was quite pleased with how, yeah, I managed to use all those. I'll bring her up. She is a video on the channel. showing how I've done most of that. So the feathers on a headdress, if I can make those, yeah, those are the metallic watercolour, the different colours of metallic watercolour. There's purple, blue and green, I think. There's lots of white gel pen for her mask there. You can see the crystals. All the crystals, I went a bit crazy for this one because it wasn't actually in the magazine, so I'm not resting on top of it to colour anything. And these beads here, that is the 3D paint. I'm not sure you'll be able to see that. Whether that will actually show up on the camera, but these are little dots of 3D paint that have flattened a little bit. But yeah, and this one I did actually manage to drip some coffee onto while I was colouring it. So I went ahead and dripped more coffee on it. So it looks like a design choice. Design choice, not an accident. It's supposed to be splashed with the coffee. But yeah, there we go. That one is by Adele Lorien, and that is from, I think it's called Woodland Fantasy, Colouring Heaven. This next one you've probably seen in my Colouring Heaven collection video. This is my Fallout lady. She's by Zan Von Zed, and she's a video on the channel as well, showing how I adapted that colouring page and traced it out on my Lightbox to give something slightly different, a bit of fan art going on, because I was really into the Fallout TV series, and I still am actually. I do like that, and I like the games, so I wanted to have this lady looking like she was in the games, and I changed her costume into a Vault Dweller jumpsuit from the Fallout games and TV show. I gave her the Pip-Boy on her wrist there, which is something, yeah, another kind of gadget in the Fallout universe, kind of like a smartwatch, but it's a big, chunky kind of computer strap to your wrist there. I added in this background to be like the Fallout doors. The Vault door shape is kind of an iconic shape there. I did that with alcohol marker and dabbed it with hand sanitizer gel. I think I put some coloured pencil on there to try and make the door look all rusty and used, because most things do in the Fallout games. I gave the lady purple hair because I usually try to when I'm playing Fallout and I make my character, I give her purple hair. And yeah, I think she's turned out really well. I ended up cutting her out and sticking her to this brown paper again, and kind of messing that up with the black chalk pastel to make that again look kind of grungy and used, and yeah, kind of part of the universe. I will bring her up for a little bit of a look. She is a video on the channel showing how I did the stages of how I did go about colouring her, the colours I used and all that kind of stuff, if anybody is interested. Another page I really did change quite a lot. And yeah, I'm sorry if you did see that one back in my Colouring Heaven collection video, but yeah, it's been put away now, so it's back in my folder, so we'll be seeing that one again. That one is by Zan Von Zed. This one is from another Colouring Heaven, the is it Christmas Gnomes or Garden Gnomes? It could be Garden Gnomes. Yeah, I changed it to a Christmas picture. This is from Garden Gnomes by Ava Brown. This is a picture that was chosen for me by my random generator, and it was round about Christmas time, so I made myself the challenge of turning the picture into a Christmas picture. Whatever picture I did get drawn that day was going to be turned into a Christmas picture, and this is the one that got drawn, so I did turn it into a Christmas picture. Again, this one was probably shown back in my Colouring Heaven collection video. But basically, there were these two little gnomes out in the garden by a patio table, with flowers and stuff in the background, and my challenge was to turn it into a Christmas picture. This is a video on the channel. It's one of my random generator videos. But basically, I just gave them Christmas coloured outfits. I covered up the table with some reindeer print collage paper there. I got rid of all the background. I just cut out all the background, added some Christmas themed wallpaper from scrapbooking paper. Oops. I gave them a window cut out from a craft book, I think this was. I cut out the window frame, and this is a Christmas card behind there. This little guy's from a Christmas card as well, and the Christmas tree. I did have a Christmas card with all these little kind of gonks, little Christmas characters, so I cut out a few of those and put them on. There's my plank, wooden plank themed collage paper as well. I made them a background, and I think I might have done some acrylic marker onto the cup there when I wrote his name as Santa, and some polka dots on the teapot. Oh yeah, he was reading a newspaper, so I turned it into Santa's naughty and nice list. Yeah, that is all one of my random generator videos. It was a really fun one. The gnome and his lady wife there, those are done with alcohol marker, a little bit of pencil shading, and the rest is mainly the paper collage. to turn it into the Christmas picture. I think it's worked really well. This one isn't one of my favourite issues of Colouring Heaven, to be honest. I'm not really big on the gnomes theme. I have to be really in the mood to be colouring a gnome. But doing that one, that really kind of changed the perspective on it, because I was working on changing the picture, made it really interesting, and I really did love colouring that one. And I think that one is by Ava Brown from the Garden Gnomes Colouring Heaven. I have 3 here that are basically the same idea and by the same artist and stuff, so I will just do them kind of all at once here. And these are all by Sybil Art, I think it's pronounced, and they're from a Colouring Heaven Halloween issue. And I wanted to try something with these, so I scanned them in from the magazine and printed them out separately. We will start with a little clown at the top there, little clown from It. And this one I printed onto the white paper. And the idea for colouring these is to make them look as if they were screen printed, like maybe onto a t-shirt or something, just using the screens to print 2 or 3 different colours to give your image. Almost like stenciling, I suppose. So I wanted to give that kind of idea. So for this clown here, I used the red, 2 shades of grey, and just a gold for a few little details there to try and make her look as if she was screen printed. I do love the way this one has turned out. And she was just with markers. Just with the markers there. I did try a little bit of shading with her hair, but yeah, it was a very kind of beginner sort of attempt there. A little bit of shading with the marker. But I love the way that she's turned out. There's not really many details to show, but there we go. Just using the flat colouring with 2 or 3 different colours there. I think there's a little bit of white highlights, but the red has seeped through there from underneath, so we do have a few white highlights, and really love how she turned out. I think I drew in this square in the background just to give a little bit of contrast there, and I've given her a white gel pen outline as well. Super pleased with her. And then by Sybil Art, I think the name is pronounced. This one is the bride one, and I printed her out onto a blue paper, and this time I painted her with gouache paint, which is pretty opaque, and I used a white gel pen as well to go around the outlines, and I think the little mouse is the white gouache paint. Again, going for that screen printed sort of stenciled look, and keeping the colours really, really simple, just the gold and the turquoisey blue, and maybe a dark blue as well. With the white, yeah, with the white as well. Again, it was a really quick one, keeping with that kind of simple, stenciled, screen printed sort of approach there. I did put in this circle in the background, I think, and did that with the gold gouache paint that I used for the flowers. And then there's a teal, the blue, and the white that we've brought in there. And I do love this effect of taking things really simple, and especially with these simple graphic image, just taking it really simple like that works really well, I think, sometimes. And this one is the first one I did. This one is actually a video on the channel. It's done to music. I don't think there's any audio because I was filming while everyone was at home, so there wasn't enough peace and quiet to film any audio. But again, this is the first one I tried with that screen printing idea, just using a few colours, keeping things really, really simple. This one is the gouache paint, orange, black and white pretty much this one, using the green as her skin colour, because she is Lady Frankenstein or something her name was, so I coloured her like Frankenstein's monster with the green skin. And yeah, I'll bring her up as I did with the others, just to have a bit of a closer look. But yeah, my lines aren't the neatest looking this close up, but the idea is, yeah, doing that kind of stenciling or screen printing idea and keeping the colours really simple, really limited palette, and blocking out the colours pretty much. And I do love the way they have turned out. So that one is Frankenstein or Lady Frankenstein, I can't quite remember, and those are by Sybil Art. This next one is from Colouring Heaven Steampunk Special, and this one is by Matt Davidson, I'm pretty sure. Again, you might have seen this one when I was giving you my Colouring Heaven collection, because they were slotted inside the magazines. But she was scanned in from the Colouring Heaven because I wanted to do something sort of sepia toned, keeping it to the brown colours, and this one was coloured with a set of skin tone pencils. I can't quite remember which set of skin tone pencils, but yeah, basically it was coloured with a set of skin tone coloured pencil there. I don't think I did any basing. No, I didn't do any basing. I did bring in the white gel pen, and then just used the 12 pencils I had in the skin tone set. I might have brought in a white, looking at it, brought in a white pencil as well, white gel pen and the skin tone pencils. And yeah, it's quite effective overall. I think it was very, very detailed though, so she was a work in progress for quite a while when I had to put it away and have a little bit of a rest and then come back with like a renewed kind of determination to finish it. But yeah, she was done with the skin tone pencils on the brown paper, which is quite effective, I think. It should probably have done with me bringing in a black for darker contrast. I'm not sure whether I did or not, or whether these lines are just from the actual artwork drawing there. But yeah, could do with a bit more contrast on that one, I'm thinking. But yeah, the effect is pretty good. And that is that Space Lady there by Matt Davidson. I'm pretty sure that one. Next, we have another zombie. So if anybody doesn't like anything along those lines of zombies, Alan Robert kind of style, then look away now, and I'll try and remember to tell you to look back. And this one is the Zombie Santa, again from the Ghost of Christmas colouring book, which is a very small colouring book. So I scanned that in and I blew it up to A4 size so I could get in and colour it properly. This one I'm pretty sure was done with Castle Art pencils. I tried to make the frame of the picture here look like copper that is corroding with the verdigris there, giving the different colours. I do have a tutorial how I did that on a different picture on the channel. If I remember, I'll link it. But yeah, that is a tutorial on the channel. I did add a little bit of glitter. The picture inside is just pencil, I'm thinking, because this might have been before I got my markers. The background is gouache paint, just a flat layer of gouache paint. I think there were snowflakes, big snowflakes drawn in there that I didn't really fancy colouring at the time. So I covered it all with the gouache paint, which is really opaque, with this kind of periwinkle blue colour. Shaded a little bit with blue pencil, and then I stuck on these blue snowflake stickers that I had to give that kind of Christmassy, snowy effect in the background. Santa himself is just a pencil with some glitter. I added in the drips here, and the idea was that he was a portrait hanging in an old spooky like haunted house or whatever have you, something along those lines. So again, I made my sort of wallpaper background there by starting with a sheet of plain paper and sticking on some ripped and torn collage paper, rubbing in some kind of brown or black chalk pastel to make the edges look all grimy, and I splashed on some red paint because it's kind of a sort of horror picture, I suppose. So yeah, I'm going away with splashing on the red paint. I'll come in a little bit closer. I was pleased with him when he was done, actually. My zombie Santa. A little bit scary. I did give him a little bit of glitter, though. Yeah, he is Santa, so he does have a little bit of glitter there. And yeah, I was really pleased with this background. And yeah, Alan Robert commented on this one when I put it up on Instagram, and he liked it. So yeah, I was really pleased with that. But yep, that is my zombie Santa there. That is by Alan Robert from Ghost of Christmas. And the zombie's gone now, if anyone was looking away. The next one is by Arena Art. There we go, it's Little Witch here. This one is also a tutorial on the Colouring Heaven YouTube channel where I show how I coloured the pumpkins. An approximation of how I coloured the pumpkins. You can never get anything the same twice, but the same kind of way I coloured those pumpkins. I'm pretty sure this one is Castle Arts pencils for the most part. I think there might be a little bit of marker basing on the Little Witch herself. Yep, no, there isn't. There isn't any marker basing, so that is pencil. It is all pencil, mainly Castle Arts, I'm thinking. I know I did use a little bit of gold Sharpie or gel pen around the brim of her hat. There is a few little bits of gold glitter kind of spotted around in the little sparkles there. And the rest, yeah, all the Castle Arts pencils, I'm pretty sure. I tried to make the lollipops look really shiny. And yeah, the pumpkins I went for kind of a natural look. Kind of imperfect, because nothing in nature is perfect. And like realistic as I could with these pumpkins here. I think they've worked out really well. A few different shades of pumpkins, little baby squash that I have going on there. Can we get the glitter going? Yeah, there's glitter. the little sparkles in the background with the glitter. And we have the gold Sharpie for the buckle and the ribbon there on the lolly. Yeah, she was a super fun one to do. Whoops. Yeah, one that took quite a while there because it was all pencil pretty much. And I did try and make the background here look as if it was watercolour with my pencils, but that is all the pencils there in the background. And yeah, she is a fun one. I did enjoy colouring her, making those pumpkins look as natural as I could. And yeah, that one is by Rena Art. Only a couple left, guys. We are getting there. We're finally through all my colouring books. This next one is another one for the Random Generator Challenge. I ended up with the Garden Gnomes book again, which, as I said, is not one of my favourites. So yeah, I wasn't too impressed with that, but we went ahead and we did colour it because I do go with what is chosen. I do not cheat, guys. Honestly, I do go with what's chosen. This one is what was chosen. And I think I chose the random colour palette, maybe. And did I choose markers and water-based markers or something along those lines as my kind of colour palette? And then my embellishment was washi tape. I think, looking at it, that looks as if that's what was chosen. And for this one, I did try and make it look as if it was nighttime with a kind of blue tone to most of the picture there with the alcohol markers. I brought in the washi tape for the gnome's clothes more than anything. Tried to stick to the colour palette, I think, which was yellow, blue, green, something like that, and red, something like that. But I tried to stick with that colour palette and yeah, go for the nighttime scene. And I think it's worked quite well. My markers were running out, if I remember right, so it's a bit splotchy in places, but I'm quite happy with how it went. Well, look, that is the marker base on the back there, and I'll bring him up for a little bit of a closer look if there are any details. We can see the washi tape a little bit better closer up, I suppose. Here's a video on the channel. Here's one of my random generator pages. Here's when I got the same magazine chosen for me twice. Yeah, but that's randomness. That's what happens. You try to do something completely random, you do get repeats every now and then. But I was pleased with the outcome, considering, again, it's not really one of my favourite issues of Colouring Heaven. So I think that picture is by Ava Brown. It is the Garden Gnomes issue of Colouring Heaven. So that is him there. And finally, last but not least, we have this lady here, who is by Rena Art from Etsy, this lady. She has a video on the channel showing how I coloured this one just using 2 colours, which was a challenge on one of the Facebook groups that I belong to. You could pick a colour palette, and then to make things even more difficult, you could just pick 2 colours from that colour palette. I chose the red and the brown, and you were allowed to use different shades of red and brown. You were allowed to highlight it and shadow it. I highlighted with the cream there, a little bit of pink, I think, for the roses, if I remember right. It could have been white, I can't remember. I did end up bringing in the white gel pen. Maybe it's a tiny bit cheaty, but it needed it for those highlights, I think. And yeah, basically she was just done with the 2 colours, and those are noted in the video. They're Prismacolor pencils that I used for that, so those are noted in the video if anybody does want to try anything the same. It's by Rena Art, as I said, from her Etsy store. It's one I bought for Halloween a while ago and never got around to colouring. I do love the kind of Day of the Dead makeup. Yeah, so it was fun colouring this one. It was slightly a bit too symmetrical for me, I will say that. I don't usually go for things that are symmetrical or repetitive or anything like that, because I don't like colouring the same thing more than once. If I can help it. So she was a little bit symmetrical, but that kind of helped for the tutorial because I could colour half of the picture and then go off camera and finish her off. And there we go. She is the last one in my PDF file at the moment. So you've now seen all my works in progress and my finished pages, and looked at all my different colouring books. So hopefully that's been kind of an enjoyable journey for you guys. It has been fun looking back through all my colouring books and stuff, and it has generated a few ideas for myself to go back and maybe work into a few of my works in progress and get things moving in that direction. And yeah, it has been quite fun. Hopefully it's been fun for you guys as well. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye.